Hello and welcome. This tutorial is following on from our basic trigonometric ratio tutorial, and we're going to look at some examples on how we can actually apply the trigonometric ratios sine, cos, and tan. First thing I like to do is remember the mnemonic SOHCAHTOA. So we have SO, ka, toa. Okay, and I'm just writing this in the column for reference a bit later on. So that means that we have sine equals opposite over hypotenuse, and this is all covered in an earlier tutorial. Cos equals adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan equals opposite over adjacent. So armed with that knowledge and a trusty calculator, we should be able to solve these three questions here. So let's look at question number one. So question number one is basically asking us to find what the value of theta is there. So we know theta. Well, sorry, we don't know theta, but we know it's there. We know this side is the hypotenuse. Okay, so let's just say equals h, or h for hypotenuse. And because the angle's there, this side is the adjacent side. Okay, so having a look, it looks like we have got the hypotenuse and we have the adjacent, so cos is going to be our go-to ratio. So to solve this, we set it out like this. So cos theta, that's that little zero with the squiggly bit, equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So cos theta equals adjacent is 8 over 9. Cos theta, plugging that into our calculator, gives us 0.88. Now, to get theta, we need to take the inverse cos, otherwise known as an arc cos or cos arc. And this is typically found on your calculator. And the button, this button will usually have the word cos and a -1. Okay, so it does depend on your calculator. Some calculators you need to type the 0.88 in first, then the inverse cos. Sometimes you have to do inverse cos, then the 88. So however your calculator works, taking the inverse cos of 0.88 leaves a theta of 27.27 degrees. Okay, so far so good. Let's look at question number two. So looking at question number two, we have, I've changed the color of the pen, better go back to that color. Looking at question number two, we have the angle there, and we know the hypotenuse, and this time we know the opposite. So we know the hypotenuse and we know the opposite. So we go back to our SOHCAHTOA. So we have the hypotenuse and the opposite. So sine will be our go-to ratio. So sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse, and you don't have to do that, but it's just an aid to memory if we sort of do it while we're practicing. So sine theta equals 9 over 12. Sine theta equals, pop it in the calculator, and I probably actually didn't need a calculator to do that. I should have been able to do that in my head, but I couldn't. Okay, so same thing again. This time the button we're going to be using is going to be the sine, inverse sine. So taking the inverse sine gives us a theta of 48.59 degrees. Last question, question number 3. So question number 3, this time we know the angle. So before we were looking for the angles, this time we know the angle, and we know it's 45. We don't know the opposite, so that's what we're looking for. But we do know the adjacent, so let's have a look. So we have the adjacent and we have the opposite. To me, that sounds like a TOA to me. So we have the opposite and the adjacent. So let's use tan. So tan 45 equals opposite over adjacent. So tan 45 equals x over 4. Now, we want to get x by itself, so let's times both sides by 4. Times by 4 gives us 4 times tan, sorry, just going to capitals for some unknown reason, 445 equals x, because that 4 and that 4 cancel out. And if you are losing me there will be another tutorial on some basic algebra. So plugging the tan 45 again, so 45, and then we hit the tan inverse tan, or tan arc, or arctan, or whatever you want to call it, gives us a value of 1. So it's 4 times 1 equals x. X equals 4. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, these are very basic examples. Sometimes they'll be masqueraded in terms of, there's a ladder up against a wall with an angle of such and such degrees. But if you can get the basics of this, then the other ones will just come with practice. Stay tuned for more exciting tutorials. If you have found this or any other video informative or helpful, please consider liking and subscribing and sharing with your friends.